Now, after mysterious disappearance, fugitive diamond merchant Mehul Choksi has been captured in the Caribbean country of Dominica. Choksi, who was wanted by the Indian authorities in the $2 billion Punjab National Bank fraud case, had fled to Antigua in 2018, from where he had gone missing earlier this week. Now, the Dominican authorities have confirmed his presence in the country and the local police have taken him into custody. The 62-year-old has been captured in Dominica trying to flee, while India's investigative agency and the Central Bureau of Investigation and the Enforcement Directorate are seeking to extradite him. Choksi was expected to be sent back to Antigua soon, but Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Browne, has said that Mehul Choksi could be deported to India from Dominica itself. Gaston Browne had earlier said that Mehul Choksi is not welcome in Antigua and Barbuda. Speaking exclusively and extensively to our principal diplomatic correspondent Sidhant Sibbal, Prime Minister Browne said, I'm quoting at this point, Choksi could be repatriated to India, perhaps even in a private jet, within the next 48 hours, assuming no legal impediment. Browne has also pointed out that he spoke to Dominica's Prime Minister over the developments and has requested him not to have Choksi return to Antigua, where he has legal and constitutional protections, and instead send him back directly to India. Now, WION also spoke with Mehul Choksi's lawyer Vijay Agarwal, who has denied any attempts by Choksi to flee. He told us that efforts are now underway to speak to Choksi as to understand how he was taken to Dominica. Mehul Choksi is wanted in the Punjab National Bank loan fraud case. He and his nephew Nirav Modi siphoned off nearly $2 billion of public money from the state-run bank. Both fled India in January 2018, weeks before the PNB scam surfaced. Back in 2017, Mehul Choksi secured citizenship in Antigua and Barbuda using an investment program. Then in January 2018, he fled to the Caribbean. Choksi's accomplice, that is Nirav Modi, is currently in a prison in London. He is battling extradition to India but has been repeatedly denied bail by British courts. And WION's principal diplomatic correspondent Sidhant Sibbal spoke to the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Browne. Listen into the complete conversation where the Antiguan PM tells us how Mehul Choksi managed to flee and if there is any diplomatic immunity for him.
If you can give us the facts, what has happened, what is the situation as of now, where he is, in which part of the country he is in Dominica?
Well, Choksi was found in Dominica and he is presently detained. The Antiguan government has been literally coordinating efforts with the Dominican and Indian governments to ensure that Mr. Choksi is deported directly from Dominica back to India. We have specifically requested of Prime Minister Skerrit and law enforcement in Dominica not to have Mr. Choksi return to Antigua where he has legal and constitutional protections, but instead to coordinate the efforts and to cooperate with the Indian government, Indian law enforcement, to have Mr. Choksi repatriated directly to India. And the government of Dominica is cooperating.
So now it means that he can be directly sent to India. Is it right to say so?
Absolutely. 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 In fact, he made a monumental error because I think he recognized that my government, my administration was gung-ho about revoking his citizenship and to have him extradited. So it would appear that he may have sought to travel to a neighboring island with the hope that he could have gone unnoticed. But as you know, we had put out an Interpol missing person notice, and he was actually captured in Dominica, but he doesn't have the constitutional and legal protections that he enjoys as a citizen in Antigua and Barbuda. So Mr. Choksi literally outdid himself.
So any time period, if you can give us that, by how much time he can be sent to India from Dominica, if it's possible, sir?
Well, presumably, assuming there are no legal impediments and the government of India is able to perhaps get law enforcement to travel to Dominica within the next 48 hours, I believe that they should be in a strong position to have him repatriated.
Perhaps next any time period by end of the week, like if it's possible, if there's no legal impediment, sir?
Exactly. Assuming there are no legal impediments, I believe that within the next 48 hours, Choksi could be perhaps on a private jet, repatriated to India.
So now talking about how did this happen? How did he left the country? Have you been able to get the details from your country to a different country undetected?
We don't have the details as yet, but we believe that he would have left the island undetected by boat. But law enforcement here acted pretty quickly, and they were able to put out a green notice, an Interpol green notice. And in these small islands, it's not difficult to identify a stranger. So I think he made a monumental error there, and obviously, would not now enjoy the type of legal and constitutional protections that he enjoyed as a citizen here in Antigua and Barbuda. So assuming that he's not a citizen of Dominica and there's no evidence that he is, then the Dominican government could make him persona non grata and to deport him directly back to India. So this is an interesting development. I think it could be a breakthrough for the Indian government. We're trying to literally ensure that Mr. Choksi is brought to justice.
And also, sir, if you can give us the details or perhaps any kind of conversation you might have had with your Indian counterpart. Have you spoken to the Indian High Commissioner? Has he been informed about the developments?
Yes, I have. And I spoke with Prime Minister Secretary of Dominica as well to ask his cooperation. The most significant issue at this time is for him not to be repatriated to Antigua because he's an Antiguan citizen. And I presume Mr. Choksi and his lawyers, they would want to have him repatriated to Antigua and Barbuda so he can continue to enjoy the legal and constitutional protections. So we have asked for the Dominican government to collaborate with the Indian government and to have him repatriated directly to India. That information has been communicated to the Indian High Commissioner to Antigua and Barbuda, who is actually stationed in Ghana, who has spoken directly. And we now expect both governments, the Indian and Dominican governments, to collaborate on having Mr. Choksi repatriated.
So when did you found out that Mr. Choksi is in a different country? When was it informed to your government, sir?
Earlier today, but we had to verify that it was the correct person. And having verified that it was Choksi himself, that's when we started to make the phone calls to make sure that he doesn't get away, that they don't inadvertently put him on a plane and, have him sent back to Antigua. I mean, that will be a travesty. We insisted that he should not be sent back here, that we will not accept him, although we have to accept him because he's a citizen. So we've said to them, do not send him back to Antigua, send him back to his country of birth, send him back directly to India.
And my last question to you is, what has been the response of the Indian side over these developments? What is the Indian side in the sense thinking? Are they very positive, appreciative of the developments which have happened and very keen that soon there will be happy endings to the entire thing?
Yeah, I sense that they're very happy. And I think they recognize too that the government of Antigua and Barbuda did not provide a safe harbor for Choksi, that he felt uncomfortable, that he tried to abscond and to skip the island and to go to another island. But unfortunately, he was identified as a fugitive. He's now been held. And it means that, Mr. Choksi will have to face the courts in India. And I'm sure that the government officials, that they're quite happy about this development.
And what has been the opinion or the thought process of the Dominican government regarding the conversations which are happening? You have already told that what your government feels. So, but what is the feeling when it comes to the Dominican government?
They're cooperating fully. In fact, Prime Minister Skerrit and I, we are very close allies. We collaborate on many issues. And, it was not a difficult proposition to convince him that he needed to cooperate with the Antiguan and Indian governments.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION at a short notice, of course, talking about the developments which have happened not only just 24 hours, but in last 48 hours or a day, or in a sense 2 or 3 days, when, of course, Mehul Choksi has been missing. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. And this is demonstrative of the Antiguan government commitment to ensure that Mr. Choksi is brought to justice.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.